Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of work in the beginning. It's a really phenomenal hip strengthener, and it's really wonderful for mobility in the ankles, knees, hips, and feet. And I am going to wear sneakers to throw this out there because I have a little bit of a weakness. Has been a long time injury that has been getting better and better in my foot. But sometimes when I use my feet in dynamic ways and I add weight, keeping my sneakers on is helpful. So I'm going to do that. It's totally up to you if you want to do that too. All right. And if your knees start to get angry with you or any of your other parts in any class, but especially this one, just pause. Like maybe these exercises aren't for you, but my hope is that there's ways to modify the movements. Okay. So I'm just going to grab my sneakers, which I have right next to me, and slip them on quickly, and then we'll get started. You probably can't see how much dog hair is on my legs right now. Good, I'm glad you can't see it, but now you know it's there. Okay, so we're not using the weights just yet. We're gonna start down on the mat or the floor. Actually, I will say this. If you normally use maybe just your floor, or if you have a very thin mat, this may be a place where you might need to double your mat. You'll see what's coming, okay? And you may need to modify in the future because this is something that I think I want to work in the future too, okay? So we're going to start in this position. I like to call this a Z sit. So your legs are in kind of this Z position. And we're going to start with our hands as tools because this is just the warm up. We're getting all the parts ready. So I'm going to bring my hands behind me. And I'm going to keep my feet grounded, but I'm going to sort of shift and move my knees. And clearly now I'm facing in almost the opposite direction, okay? And we're going to do that a few times. So the feet pretty much stay where they're at. And I used my hands behind me, and now I'm coming to the other side, okay? So these are movements right away that a lot of us do not do, right? This is kind of a lot to ask, potentially, of the knee joint, especially this one. Our knees are absolutely designed to do this, and the leg bone is shifting inside the hip here. As you come to this seated position each time, you'll probably feel a stretch somewhere. It's good to notice that stuff. And again, I'm using my hands behind me to facilitate this little shift from side to side. You may notice that you kind of scooch forward. I'm being really aware of this. Like there's just a lot of movement here. Whenever I try to do this with clients, we end up setting up like 3 or 4 mats, just because that's what happens. But anyway, okay, so we're gonna do this a few more times, and I would just really like you to breathe. Breathe, notice how this feels. You're probably not gonna feel stuff in your feet, but you're probably gonna feel even just a stretch in your knees, a stretch in the hips. And so right away, I think this is valuable for a lot of people who don't have anything acute or chronic going on in these joints. All right. Let's do one more each way. Yep. And then, yeah, and feel free to take your time, or if you're moving a little bit faster than me, that's great. So now the next step is to see how it feels to not use your hands. So I bring my hands up and I just kind of have my hands interlaced. You can really do whatever you want. And now this is going to require just a little bit more core activation, in my opinion. As you bring your knees side to side, you kind of want to sink in the low back. It becomes a little bit more awkward. Feel free to bring your hands back down. That's totally fine. But this would be kind of the next step. And for me, this still feels good in my knees and my hips. I'm noticing that there's a little bit of a stretch happening. I'm scooching further and further forward. Just shimmy yourself back if you need to. And I'm just gonna do 2 more sets here. I'm trying to kind of sit tall when I get to my little destination. So when I get to one side, I'll kind of sit tall. That definitely increases the stretch in my hip each time. And again, don't feel bad if you have to bring a hand down or bring both down. It's totally fine. Okay, now this is where we up the ante, and I'm just gonna shimmy back a little bit so I don't roll completely onto the floor. And this is where it can become very strengthening for the hips. We're gonna start to twist in this direction, shift, whatever word we're using. Let's use our hands first. Bring your hands down around the knee that you're sort of facing and shift your weight a little bit onto your knees. It's almost like you're about to crawl to grab something and then just lower yourself right back down. Okay, let's make it sort of a cumulative movement. And then come to the other side, bring your hands around your knees. I want you to push down with your knees and your legs to do this. Of course, I'm still using my hands. I've learned this move in a couple of different ways. One of them in a restorative and rehabilitative way for the knees and the hips. And they called it, because it was a parent that made this, the Lego pickup. So like you're crawling around grabbing things all over the floor, because generally Legos are strewn all around. So I'm just using my hands. When I get to this place, I'm using my hands, I'm shifting my weight, I'm pushing down like I want to crawl, and you kind of maybe are adding to it for yourself a little bit each time. So maybe you're coming up a little bit higher and you're rolling onto your knees. The rehabilitative workshop that I did kind of talked about how in time these joints hurt because we don't use them the way we did when we were kids. You know, that's one theory. I think that's really interesting to think about it that way. Okay, so now I'm gonna add here, ready? I'm gonna bring my hands up and I'm gonna push down and see if I can lift my hips. And then I'm gonna lower down. I'm gonna bring my knees to the other side. And I'm gonna push down and lift back up. So I have a good thing on my side. I haven't done this in a while. I do this with clients, but I haven't done this myself in a while. So I'm like remembering real time how this feels for me. You know, this really is asking a lot of the knee and the hip. So, you know, if at any time your body's like, yeah, why don't you stop? That's fine, stop. I'm gonna do one more each way, and I'm gonna show you the next step. And then I'm gonna go to the other side, and here's the next step coming. We lift, and I'm going to shift myself so my back foot is curled forward. And I'm gonna do it on the other side. It's almost like I want to push off with this leg. We're not there yet, but that's my back foot. Coming back, I'm going to the other side. I'm coming up here. I'm curling this forward. Like I'm gonna somehow propel myself forward. I'm gonna do this one more each way. Come through the center. Twist and lift, curl the back foot forward. Yeah, that's it. And then again. And curl the back foot forward. And then we're going to come down and come back to center, okay? From here, because that was like a lot of dynamic work, I want to come back down and just get centered and get into the breath. And then I'll tell you in the future how that move is going to correlate with other things like lunges and squats, okay? So I'm going to bring my hands behind my thighs. I'm just going to walk my feet back and roll through the spine. and relax all the way down. And then I'm going to bring my hands to my shins. I'm going to relax my neck and my shoulders. I'm just going to take a couple of deep breaths. Inhale, exhale. So as long as those moves felt okay, in my opinion, that's a phenomenal little series to promote mobility and flexibility of the ankles, the knees, the hips. And there is a lot more that you can add on to that. That was like the first steps. Let's bring the feet down to the floor. So now after I do like one-sided or dynamic stuff, I like to put them back together again and do really stable work. So we can move our feet as close to our tush as it feels comfortable, and then push down with the feet, and then just bring the hips up a little bit and just kind of release and lengthen the neck, and then lower back down. So if you're somebody that likes to roll through the spine for this little bridge move, great, you can do that. And if you're someone that just likes to lift up and down, you can do that too, whichever one kind of feels better. But let's kind of focus on how the feet feel and pushing as evenly as we can, lengthening the neck. And we're going to add a deep breath to this. Inhale on the way down, and exhale to come up. And inhale to come down, and exhale up. And let's do 4 more here. And exhale up. And 3 more. And exhale up. And 2 more. Imagine your knees are reaching away from you, and so is the crown of the head. So you have that opposition. And again, inhale down. And last one, exhale to come up. Take a nice deep breath, and then lower all the way down. Okay, from here, feet together, knees wide. So if you're very tight here when we do this little stretch, I also think that move that we just did in the beginning of class is really good for kind of lengthening these muscles as well. So that's another reason why I really like that little routine. Let's bring the knees back up again. And we're gonna roll to the side. Come on up. A little bit of hands and knees stuff here. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders and your legs, knees right underneath the hips. And let's get a little bit of movement in the spine. So we'll arch the back and look up. Try to keep your chest lifted away from the ground and your arms fully extended. And then let's roll through the spine and come into a round shape. And then arch and breathe. Find how your breathing can create a bit of a flow here. I always like to imagine that gravity pulls me up away from the floor, and that takes a lot of discomfort for me out of the hips, the wrists. And it also just helps me to feel a little bit more alive in the spine as I do this movement. Let's do 1 more each way. And then we're going to come back to center and neutral. So find your nice long spine. And again, imagine gravity is just pulling you up out of your wrists. I'm going to change the view here. Move your hands in about 1 inch closer to one another. Keep your upper body nice and still. And let's bring one arm out to the side with the palm down. Go ahead and plug both shoulders in. And let's keep that neck really nice and long. And then bring the hand that was up down, and we'll switch to the other side. Push the floor away from you. Let's still find our opposition here. So crown of the head in one direction, tailbone in the other, or sits bones as well. And then let's come back down. And again, reach. It's like you're spreading one of your wings. Plug the shoulders in. And then come on down. And then the other side. Reach. And then come on back down. Now we're going to do the legs, but we're not going to go out to the side. We'll go straight back. Find your anti-gravity feeling. Extend one leg. Lift that leg up. Lengthen back out. You can point or flex. See which one you like better. And then come down. And then the other side. and down. And I'm just gonna keep saying, like, imagine you're lifting up towards the ceiling. It makes such a huge difference. And for as many times as I say it, I still see people like really hanging down with their chest hanging down and their head hanging down. And if you just try that for a second, it really doesn't feel good in the wrists. So that lifting and that length really make a huge difference for those little wrist joints. Keep alternating your legs, find length each time you pick a leg up. Let's do one more each way. And other side. And now we're going to put those last two together. One arm out, opposite leg up. Lift away from the floor. And reach. And down. We'll do 2 more sets. Reach. Super deep breaths along the way. And other side. And here's our last set. Find your belly button here, find your center. And make a change if you need to. Do it in another way if your body tells you to. And then come all the way down. For a moment, come all the way up and just give your wrists a little twirl. A little twirl here and then go the other way. And then come back down one more time. Toes are going to come forward. And I just want you to sit back for a minute just to stretch out the foot a little bit more deeply. If you can come all the way up, just give yourself 2 deep breaths here. Inhale, exhale. And then we're going to come back again. Okay, I'm going to arch just a little bit because that's what feels good for me, but you can try this neutral here. We're going to lift the knees away from the ground and really slowly and nicely lower back down. And again, I prefer to have a little bit of a round spine for this because it helps me to include my belly muscles. And again. And come on back down. We're going to do 2 more. And one more time. And lower down. I'm going to come up to stand through a down dog. I'm going to widen my hands and I'm going to lift my tush towards the ceiling and find a position that feels quite nice for me at least. I'm going to soften my knees a little bit and send my sits bones in one direction. Shoulders kind of slide down, relax the head and breathe. And then I'm going to walk my hands back towards my feet. And a quick half hang here. Fold. Slowly let's round up. Soften the knees. Push down through the feet. And we can come up to stand. Awesome. I will shift this so you can actually, see me. And then here we are. Okay, so we just warmed up a lot of things, which is kind of exciting, if you ask me. But I should probably get some more hobbies. Okay, I'm going to grab my 5-pound weights for this first part, and I'm likely to continue to add weight as we do this a little bit more. I'm going to start with just a straight up squat, loading up with only 10 pounds total. Toes are forward. Take a nice deep breath at the top, lift the chest. And I'm going to send my hips back and then push down through the feet to stand tall. And send the hips back and come up. And come up. Keep going here. So everyone is really different with the way that their back feels. I know some of you struggle with some like fragile feelings in the low back. When you're loading up on weight, it really matters like where the weights are. Just in case your back doesn't feel good, you can always try this and see if that makes it worse or better. For me, it doesn't make it better. You can also try this right in front of your shoulders. I kind of push my weights into the shoulders a little bit so there's a connection there. I find the further away from my body the weights are, the more I feel discomfort in my back. So I try to keep the added weight as close as I can to my body. be it by my sides like this, or by my shoulders. Okay, let's do 5 more here. 5, and 4, and 3, and 2. Last one. And then come all the way up and arms down, okay? Feet are gonna come in towards one another. I'm gonna step back with my right foot and both toes will face forward. Lift the back heel and let's bend both knees and come into this kind of like split squat, static position. Let's just go straight up and then back to that position. Okay, so just to connect what we did first to this exercise, there is a magical connecting repertoire which will bring you from that hip lift, curling the back foot forward, to this exercise. It is challenging. It really asks a lot of a lot of the parts. If you ask me, it took me a while to feel comfortable doing it. And I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a separate video of just that whole series, because I think it's a great series, but it is a lot to ask in a group setting, okay? But anyway, that's exciting. Oh geez, I'll be fine. Let's do 4 more. 4, and 3, and 2, 1 more. Come on up, step forward, take breath, and then we go back, okay? Toes are forward, feet are about hip distant, lift that chest, lift the back heel, and this is our static split squat. The other thing I like to pay attention to, you can stay where you are, if you have a mirror in your space, when you come down into this position, very often what I see in class when one of my clients has one hip that's distinctly weaker than the other, you see this. Okay, so if you check out your hips, trying to keep them nice and even with one another, it makes it a lot harder. 4, stand tall. 3, 2, and 1 more. And then step forward, okay? Let's do a heel lift here. I'm gonna keep my feet parallel to one another. Shoulders are down, belly button is in, and lift, lower, lift, lower. The other thing I check out in the mirror, of course we have our cameras, which is pretty much the same thing, right? Is when you lift your heels, do they roll out? And if they do, use your big toes a little bit more, just so you can get that real active whole front of the foot area as you lift, if possible. Let's do 4 more, and 3, and 2, and 1 more time, and lower down. Okay, squats, split squat, heel lifts, and then the last move, really super functional move, is our deadlift. And we're gonna keep our feet hip distant, toes are forward. I'm gonna soften my knees a teeny bit. When you are hinging, you think booty out, chest out, booty out, chest out, booty out, chest out, and then push down through the feet to stand tall. Push the hips forward when you come up. Booty out, chest out, booty out, chest out, booty out, chest out. Push those feet down. Press the hips and the pubic bone forward. You should really feel the backs of the legs on the way up, among probably other things. Do shoot me a text or a mail or call me if what you're feeling is confusing and you want to make sure that things are going well. I like that deep breath at the top. Exhale to come up. Let's do 3 more. 2 more. So having good form is really important because that enables you to continue to load up with extra weight if you want. 1 more. This is a great thing to practice even without loading up weight, but loading up weight is great too. Okay, I'm gonna put these 5s down because I'm gonna personally pick up the next size. For me, I have some 8s. And yeah, grab a drink of water if you want. Okay, so we're just coming back to our nice easy squats. Arm positions are really up to you. I'm gonna try a few just to see how my back feels. Okay, so go for it. Back and up. And another thing I want to say about fragility and yucky feelings in the back as you move through your squats, sometimes moving your feet helps. Going a little wider, coming in or out a bit with your toes. For some people, discomfort anywhere can be lessened by shifting your feet or maybe adding an extra prop. Like for some people, putting something in between their knees to squeeze activates the inner thigh muscles, and that changes everything. In fact, keep going. I want to try it. I haven't done that in a while either. There's just times where I'm sure you're like this too, like these little messages from my body where it's like, oh, everything's fine, but maybe it's not like super perfect, which is fine and normal too. Yeah, so having like something in between the thighs to squeeze changes it, just changes it. So playing around with that a little bit, you can always change your experience just a little bit, and maybe it'll suit you so much more. Let's do 4 more. And 3. And 2. And 1 more time. Nice, okay. So now we're coming back to our split squats. Standing, just a quick little bit of neck love. Move your head from side to side. I know my hair is getting really too long when I'm trying to move my head, but it's getting stuck in my armpit. And that's happening right now, which is fine. Maybe a little circle, and then the other way. And then come back, okay? All right, let's keep going. So change out your weights if you need to. I'm gonna step back first with my right foot. My feet are about hip distant. I'm gonna stand tall into both feet. My front leg is bent. Knee is over the foot. Back heel lift. And when I bend, again, it's as if I want to bring my right knee towards the floor, but I'm trying to keep that left knee over the foot when I come forward. And checking out my hips so I'm not doing this when I'm coming down. That's a sure way to tell if there's just something that's a little bit weaker in the system. It's hard to tell what it is. But we can always work those muscles just by looking at our alignment. Make sure your back heel stays lifted and that back foot stays energized. Let's do 2 more. 1 more time. And then step forward. And then we'll try the other leg and see how that goes. Okay. Starting tall, feet as wide as your hips, just about. Back heel lifts. And then straight up and down. Just keep breathing. Energize the back foot. Keep that heel lifted. Do the best you can. Let's do 4 more. Energy on the way up. And 2. 1 more. And then step forward, okay? I'm gonna keep my feet parallel. Just like I said earlier, as you're lifting and lowering the heels, if it's difficult to stay aligned with your feet, grab that yoga block or your squishy ball and throw it right in between your ankles. And you may get more mobility out of the whole exercise. Shoulders are pretty relaxed here. Each time I lift, I draw the abdominals in and remind myself to open the chest just a little bit. Oh geez. Let's do 3 more. 2 more. 1 more time. And then come down, okay? We're coming back to our deadlift. Toes are forward. For me, my feet are usually more narrow than they are for a squat for this. Soften the knees a little bit. Hinge. Booty out, chest out, booty out, chest out, booty out, chest out. At the top, pubic bone and hip bones forward. Breathe. And for those of you that were feeling a little vulnerable in the low back during this, grab that yoga block or your squishy ball and put it in, keep going here, put it back in between your legs. That could be the adjustment that is really, really helpful. Who knows? You never know. Let's do 3 more. Two more. One more. And come on up, okay? Such functional movements, right? This is it. These are the ones. I think I'm gonna up my weight 1 more time because they're just looking at me over there and I think it's gonna be okay. So I'm gonna put my 8s down and I'm gonna grab my 10s. And yes, just gonna take a little sip here. Okay. Make sure your form is something that you notice when you're picking up your heavier weights too, okay? Okay, so we're coming back to our squat. I was really enjoying my yoga block, so I'm gonna bring it back in between the thighs. It was helping me to, I think, activate some of the muscles up the inner thighs into the pelvis. So if you wanna try that, go for it. A ball is probably better, but it's just nowhere close. Okay, so stand tall, shoulders are down, and then sit back in your imaginary chair. And when you come up, give the tush a little squeeze. So yeah, the knees are bending a lot more than when you are doing your hinge. When you're doing your hinge, it's not about the extra bend in the knee, right? You're keeping the knees stable. Now those knees are really bending and coming up again. So it can be a small bend for you. If you're paying attention to the way your knees feel, that's fine. But just make sure that that's the differentiation between the two exercises. A squat and a deadlift. Let's do 4 more. And 3. And 2. And last one. Okay. Goodbye. Goodbye, old friend. And now we're coming back to our split squats. Standing nice and tall. Let's start with the right leg again. And front knee is bent. I've already got my knee over my front foot. I'm going to energize and lift the back heel. And then I'm going to go straight down. When you come up, I think it feels good to really fully extend and stand tall. Energize the journey up. Give it a little oomph. Let's do 3 more. And 2. Keep that front knee over your foot when you're coming towards the floor. Let's do 1 more for good luck. Ooh. Feeling that extra weight. Take a breath. Side 2. Step back. Okay. A little sweaty, right? I'm schwitzing, you guys. All right, back heel up. Front knee over the foot. It's okay. It's okay to schwitz. So I have like this Apple Watch that I'm wearing now, that I've been wearing. And sometimes it sends me like little messages, which I didn't know would be the case. It's like breathe, which is great. I'm so glad. Every once in a while I feel like the message has like a little bit of a tone. Like, oh, are you exercising? Like, is it suggesting it? I just don't know yet. We have to get to know each other a little bit more. You seem to be exercising. What do you mean? Anyway, it didn't suggest it now, so clearly it doesn't know me that well. Let's do 1 more. And then come forward. And I'm definitely schwitzing, so, you know, whatever. Okay, toes forward, heel lift. Give yourself a moment to connect. Press the feet down, lift the chest, belly is in, and then push the floor away. I like to remind myself to slowly lower back down, up and down. Let's do 4 more. And 3. And 2. 1 more time. Okay. Deadlift. I am going to use this again. I think what I'm actually going to do is just put it in between my feet, right on the ground, and see how that goes, because that still is going to help me to activate those muscles. I'm just going to pretend like I'm squeezing the block. So, soft knee. We're not increasing the knee bend here. The knee bend stays. The knee bend stays. And you make a table with your back. If someone was to throw a sheet over your back, it would look like a table and not like a round thing. That's the goal. At the top, pubic bone, hip bones forward. By the way, you can keep your legs straight during this exercise on the way forward. I forget what that's called. It's like just a different deadlift name, like Bavarian, or I don't know, some other country. I don't know what America does. And let's do 4 more here. And 3. And 2. And 1 more. Okay, that was exciting. I'm going to put these down. And I'm going to come back down to the mat. And we're going to do some stuff to get connected again. I'm going to bring my 5s and my 8s down to the mat with me for arm and core stuff. And maybe a little bit more legs. And I'm going to take my block with me just in case I want to use it. Fives and 8s. Just to say one more thing that I forgot to say about that move in the beginning. That move in the beginning is meant to help people to be able to get down and back up again from the floor, which is something that as we age just becomes harder and harder because it can be uncomfortable for the wrist joints, the knees, the feet, right? So that's another reason in a simple way why I really like that series. Okay, let's come all the way down. You can give the knees a little hug if you'd like. And then bring the feet down. And before we start moving, let's integrate our deeper belly muscles, perhaps maybe than we've gotten to yet. Bring your hands to your belly, fingertips towards the center, heels of your hands towards the sides. Go ahead and just relax your shoulders and your jaw. Inhale into your waist, your top, your bottom, your sides. Expand, expand, expand. And then contract. Empty that air out. As you are emptying your air out, try not to push the air out, because I would like for you to avoid sort of bearing down to empty the lungs out. Bearing down is when you're pushing into your pelvic floor. Exactly the opposite. I would rather you think about lifting your pelvic floor as you're exhaling. Okay, so let's try that a few more times. Inhale, expand. And exhale. And again. One more. Okay, just notice your breathing as you move. I'm gonna roll to my side to not make this weight pickup awkward for my shoulders. Grab the weights, bring them close to my center, and then roll back onto my back. And I'm gonna keep my elbows close by my sides. You can walk your feet in as close to your tush as you would like. Knuckles up to the ceiling. So just a nice, easy arm move first, straight up. When you come up, just pause. Let's find that like sort of neutral spine. Belly button is in, nice and long through the neck. Bend and press up. And with the row, as long as this is going well, while you're rowing your arms, on the extension, you can pick up one leg at a time. So it's like a one tabletop at a time, or one shape with your leg that you like. I'm bringing mine up in a bent position. Maybe yours is different for some reason. Maybe you want to like extend the leg. I don't know. There's probably 40 different things you could do with your leg, but let's incorporate one leg at a time. And then of course that deep breath. Just keep breathing. I'm gonna do about 2 more sets here. And then legs all the way down, and then arms down by your sides. This is just a nice, easy bicep curl arm extension little combo. So this is how it works. We're gonna sort of bicep curl up, small movement, and then press up, come on back down, and then slowly lower back down. When you bicep curl up, keep your shoulders to the ground, or try to. Come back down, and there it is. Shoulders to the ground, reach, back again with the elbows, fully extend. Bicep curl, and extend. Let's do 2 more. 2, down, and again, 1 more. Reach, down, and extend. Take a breath. Come on back up so the arms are fully extended towards the ceiling. Soften your elbows. This is a chest press. Open the arms east and west. Go as far out as you feel comfortable going. So I have a slight bend to my elbows here, and I would say my hands are a little higher than the rest of the arm because I'm sort of curling forward. I would call this like a hug position if you were gonna like hug a big tree. Here in Asheville, we love to hug trees. Nice, big, wide arm structure as you go out and come back again. Let's do 2 more. 1 more. And then hold at the top, weights together, nice and straight through the arms. Bend, either come to the floor behind your head or really super, super, super gently tap the crown of your head. Like maybe hardly tap it at all. Okay, we don't need to have a concussion from exercise class. Exercise, come up. Let's do 8 more. 8, 7. Elbows are forward, by the way. They're not wide. I would say my elbows are straight up from my shoulders. Last 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, come on down. Roll to the side, keeping your weights fairly close to you. If you want to just wiggle your fingers for a second, let's keep the weights out of the picture for just a moment. Press your arms down by your sides. Draw the abdominals in. Bring one leg up into tabletop. Lengthen out your neck. Bring the other leg up into tabletop. Bring the first leg slowly down. And the second leg slowly down. Let's try that again. One leg up and pause. Draw the belly in. Other leg up and pause. Slowly bring the first leg down. And slowly bring the second leg down. From here, bring the first leg up and pause, hold it there. Bring the second leg up and pause, hold them both there. Let's do knees wide, wide-ish, feet together. Draw the belly in as you reach the legs away from you and point your feet. And then flex the feet and come back in quite a lot, like let's say knees over the ribs. Reach out. Come in, reach out, come in. So those of you with tight hip flexors or like hip flexors that overpower everything, maybe this exercise is not good for you. Like I'm just like so over pushing through exercises that feel wrong. And I'd love to hear from you if you have that feeling about any of the movements that you're like, my body has never gotten this. It just kind of hates that thing that you talk about a lot. And I'd love to figure out another way to do it. Okay, so I don't want to assume that you feel what I feel. Let's do 4 more. And 3. And 2. Last one. Come in, all the way down. Feet wide, arms wide. Move your weights if you have to. Exhale, hips up. Inhale down. Or just keep breathing in a way that feels good. Try and keep your neck long. Let's do 5 more. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 more. Come all the way down. Okay, I'm going to bring my feet together and I'm going to roll to the side and grab my 8s. Again, I like to bring them close to my body and then roll back again. So we had that whole little series. We're going to do that again. Elbows close, belly button is in. Straight up and down. If you would like, you can add 1 leg to the scenario. Or if you want to strictly just focus on your arms, maybe you're picking up heavier weights than me, and you'd like to just focus straight up on the arms, that's fine too. Maybe leave the legs down if you want. When you push up, long neck. Long neck. 4, 4, 3, 3, 2, 2, 1, 1. Come down. I'm going to keep my feet down for this next part. Slowly lower down. There's a fly that is driving me nuts. I'm going to pretend like it's not. Come on back. Up. Extend. Slowly come down. Bicep, lower down. And then come on back up. When you are lowering your arms down and picking them back up again, keep your shoulder blades in the same place. I'm trying to keep mine connected to the ground. Down. I'm going to do 4 more here. It's the last one for me. Down, up. Reach, let's hold at the top. Soften the elbows, long neck, switch out the weight if this is not right for you. Open and keep the shape of the arm. Come on back up. Five more. And 4. And 3. 2 more. Last one. And then hold at the top and triceps down. On the way up, draw the belly button in to get that little added help. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, last one. All the way up. Come on down. Let's keep the weights close. Roll to the side carefully. Weights can be out of the way. All the things can be out of the way. And then come back onto your back. I'm going to go right into a lovely stretch here because it just sounds like a nice idea. I'm going to bring my knees in one direction and open my arms wide. Just take a nice deep breath. You can also bend the arms to increase the chest stretch. With your exhale, find something to release. One more deep breath. And then bring the arms back, and you can roll through to the other side. And then we're going to roll to one side. And I'm gonna come back to my hands and knees one more time. I'm gonna make my way up to stand through one more down dog. You can come up to stand however you like. If you joined me in a down dog, you can just hold here for a second and let your shoulders slide away from your ears and let your head hang. And then when you're ready, you can soften your knees and walk your hands back towards your feet. And then I'm going to hang on to my elbows here and take 2 more deep breaths. When you're ready, you can relax the arms, soften your knees, reconnect to the ground through your feet, and then slowly roll up. When you come to the top, you can bring your thumbs together behind your tush and reach your fingertips towards the ground and lift the chest a little bit for a nice chest stretch here. 1 more deep breath. And then arms hang. Yay, that felt good. Have a great day. Look at my hair. Have a great day. Be good to yourselves, please.